It is Friday, March 14th, and Trump wins again. Senate Democrats capitulating, caving, agreeing to vote yes on Trump's CR, locking in DOGE cuts, providing Elon and Trump the leeway they need to balance the budget. We're going to explain why this is such a big deal, why Dems in the House now calling for Schumer's head, freaking out about this. Also, the highest law enforcement officer in the country, Pam Bondi, announcing they are moving to prosecute the billionaires behind these anti-Tesla attacks. We know who you are, she says, and we're coming for you. And more evidence surfacing into who may have been pressing the button, auto-signing Biden's signature. Turns out the vast majority of Biden's signatures weren't real. Wait till you see this, and an update on what's taking so long for all of these disclosures. We have some information, but before we get started, thank you for liking and sharing these videos. It really helps out the channel, and consider subscribing so you don't miss these regular updates.
I believe it is my job to make the best choice for the country, to minimize the harms to the American people. Therefore, I will vote to keep the government open and not shut it down.
Democrats have caved, agreeing to vote yes on Trump's CR. The Democratic Senate has surrendered. Senate Minority Leader Chuck Schumer folding like a wet napkin. Dems in the House furious, demanding he step down. We have the clips. The squad now eating their own. All of this, by the way, starting 3 weeks ago when Elon met with Republicans on the Hill, forging this plan. Today's the culmination of 3 weeks of work. Today is the day the government set to shut down at midnight tonight if the Senate fails to pass a budget deal. On the table right now is Trump and Republican CR, continuing resolution, more or less a clean CR that keeps funding levels the same from what they were last year, only 99 pages. That's it. Keep that in mind. When you consider the last CR Mike Johnson tried to slip through a few months ago, remember that monstrosity, 1,500 pages, a giant Dem wish list? Not this time. This bill is 99 pages. That's it. And within it is a section that grants the Treasury Department, under the direction of the Office of Management and Budget, OMB, broad authority to reapportion or reallocate funds appropriated by Congress for this fiscal year. This not only locks in the cuts that Elon and DOGE already made, but also designates all funding as an emergency requirement. What this means is that the executive branch, through Treasury and OMB, can now shift funds between agencies or accounts with minimal congressional input. So after this vote, DOGE can get down to work, legally speaking, through an act of Congress, removing all leverage Dems had to rein them in. They are quite literally, by voting yes, unleashing the DOGE with this bill. Chuck Schumer claiming he has no choice, that he's been effectively cornered by Donald Trump, and voting yes is a giant gift to Trump. But voting no, he says, would be even worse. Watch.
Ton of leverage. The one thing they have leverage is in the Senate, where you need a filibuster-proof majority on a cloture vote. That there's essentially an unconstitutional assault on the government right now. And I think you would agree with that,
there
right?
Is.
An assault on the constitutional
These guys are the worst, and we got to fight them every step of the way. As we say in Brooklyn, Chris, every effing step of the way.
But look, Russ Vought is already telling people, but he's telling people on the floor, we are not even going to listen to this CR. This is a piece of paper that we will impound and rip up the moment it's passed. If that's the case, how is voting for cloture not essentially an imprimatur on the very same assault on the constitutional order?
They're already, even without this CR, they're already doing it.
Right.
Okay? They did it to the Department of Education. But I can tell you, I've been through shutdowns before. It's not that this CR is good. It's not that voting for it is good. It's horrible. But the alternative is worse.
Congressional Democrats now in full revolt against their leadership. Senate Minority Leader Schumer in the hot seat after folding like a wet napkin. AOC calling for Schumer to step down. Ayanna Pressley going for the jugular last night on CNN. Watch this.
Congresswoman, only a few moments ago on Truth Social, President Trump praised Senator Schumer for having the, quote, guts to do the right thing, calling his support of the spending bill a smart move. How will that sit, you think, with House Democrats?
Well, again, I don't think we should be moving in any way to elicit praise from Donald Trump, who has no respect for Congress and the power of the purse, who is by the hour rolling out proposals and executive actions that are lawless and that are callous. We do not want to be praised by Donald Trump. This is a hostile government takeover. He is a dictator. And what do you meet a dictator with? Defiance. The Democrats can't only be the adults in the room. We have to be the fighters too. And that is the message that we are hearing every day from our constituents and what they want to see from us in this moment. We have to be exhaustive in leveraging every tool available in their defense.
What you just heard was a stunning and complete surrender. The leader of the Democrat Party, the Senate Minority Leader, caving, surrendering. Donald Trump taking to Truth Social to congratulate Chuck Schumer, saying congratulations to Chuck Schumer for doing the right thing, took guts and courage. The big tax cuts, LA fire fix, debt ceiling bill, and so much more is coming. We should all work together on that very dangerous situation. A non-pass would be a country destroyer. Approval will lead us to new heights. Again, really good and smart move by Senator Schumer. This could lead to something big for the USA, a whole new direction and beginning. Donald John Trump. In another story, over 95% of all official documents signed by President Biden, turns out, were signed using autopen. This means the majority of all official acts, bills, and authorizations weren't read, weren't understood, and signed by the last sitting president. Instead, someone else, someone none of us know, someone behind the scenes pressing a button on their computer, auto-penning, auto-signing, or stamping Biden's signature. The first time this has ever happened. It's customary the president manually sign almost all official orders and laws. Well, not Joe Biden. Why? Maybe because he wasn't running the White House. He wasn't mentally cognizant about what was happening. The Heritage Foundation releasing a statement saying, we gathered every document we could find with Biden's signature over the course of his presidency, all used the same auto pen signature except for the announcement that the former president was dropping out of the race last year. Here's the auto pen signature, showing it here. What this means is whoever controlled the auto pen controlled the presidency, and it wasn't Joe Biden. Watch.
Take a look at he signs by auto pen. Who is signing all this stuff by auto pen? Who would think you signed important documents by auto pen? You know, these are major documents you're signing. You're proud to sign them. You have your signature on something. In 300 years, they say, oh, look, can you imagine? Everything was signed by autopen, almost everything. Nobody's ever heard of such a thing. So, should have never happened.
As we speak right now, the Missouri AG, Andrew Bailey, requesting the DOJ investigate whether Biden's cognitive mental decline allowed unelected officials to make decisions without his knowledge, which, if it turns out to be the case, all executive orders, directives, even pardons may be unconstitutional. And if he signed a document authorizing this, if Joe Biden authorized some sort of power of attorney or something to his chief of staff or whomever at the White House, that would be completely out of bounds. In another story, AG Pam Bondi sent out a public warning to anyone involved or thinking about attacking a Tesla owner, dealership, or anything else, saying you will face 20 years in prison. Going one step further even, announcing charges forthcoming on the billionaires funding these anti-Tesla attacks. We know who you are and we're watching you. Not something I'd want to hear if I was Reid Hoffman or George Soros or Alexander Soros right now. Watch.
If you targeted someone, if you went after someone because of their political affiliation. We will be investigating you. We will be looking at you, because that's the weaponization, and it has to stop. For instance, look what they're continuing to do, as I said, to Elon Musk. They are targeting Tesla dealerships, the stations where you charge a Tesla. They're vandalizing cars. I have already directed an investigation be opened to see how is this being funded, who is behind this, doing this. We have people we're locking up on that. We have someone in jail right now from one of the dealerships. They threw a Molotov cocktail through a dealership. They're looking at up to 20 years in prison. So if you're going to touch a Tesla, go to a dealership, do anything, you better watch out, because we're coming after you.
Wow.
And
Well,
if you're funding this, we're coming after you. We're going to find out who you are.
Then this morning, Pam Bondi going back on Fox News and asked point blank, where are the Epstein files? Where's the files on Trump's 2 assassination attempts, JFK? What's taking so long? That's my question to her. What is taking so long? There's no reason to still be holding this back. We've seen nothing, absolutely nothing from Pam Bondi or Kash Patel yet. We all went to bat for them, especially Kash on this channel, and there's only so much time that can go by before the stink of all of this washes onto them. Get the documents out, release it. Trump ordered it all declassified, so dump it. Here's her response, watch.
That is incredible, AJ. All right, let me get your take on something else, which a lot of people were emailing me about and talking to me about when they heard that you were coming on the show. The MAGA group is mad that they don't know more about the Epstein files. The MAGA group is mad that they don't know more about the January 6th investigation. Are you going to give us any more information on these two issues?
Sure. And first, to the Epstein, I'm mad that I didn't have more information on Epstein. I was given 200 pages of documents. I've asked Director Patel. He came in after that, of course. I'd asked for those documents prior to Kash coming in. Kash is going to get me all the information. I've asked him to find out why I didn't receive all those documents and he didn't receive all those documents. We've now found out, of course, that they were in New York. We've received truckload of documents of evidence, and Kash is going to give me a deadline on when he can go through that to protect, of course, the victims of sex trafficking who are wrapped into this. And he's going to give me a deadline on when he can get this, and we will get out as much as we can, as fast as we can, to the American people, because they deserve to know. Same with January 6th. We're all working on JFK right now. We will be working on Martin Luther King. All of these things that the president promised, we will be doing. They can try to hide documents from us, but they can't. It might take a little longer. We will find them and we will release them to the American people, because it's transparency.
I mean, we want to know if there was criminality during the during COVID and January 6th. I mean, on January 6th, there was speculation that they destroyed documents. Did they destroy documents, the January 6th Commission?
Maria, we are looking into all of that. Nothing is off the table.
And in terms of COVID and all of the thousands of people working with social media to try to censor Americans' information during the COVID era? Yeah.
Everything's being looked at. Everything is on the table. Maria, again, it was the ultimate weaponization, what they did, things that were hidden from the American people. But it's a new day. Donald Trump is the most transparent president in our nation's history. We are all acting at his directive, and America will be transparent again as well.
Well, we love it. AG will be watching for this conference later when the president comes to the DOJ. We so appreciate your time this morning.
Let me know what you think about this. Should it be taking this long? Do you think we'll ever end up seeing everything? Pam Bondi said last week in a different interview that they're combing through the documents to protect national security. What national security? What do any of these cases have to do with national security? It makes you wonder just how much of all the innuendo and rumor may be true. How involved was our government in all this? I don't know. What I do know is people are growing tired of waiting. Promises were made. Don't make Trump into a liar. All right, that wraps up this episode. Like, subscribe. We'll see you next time.